communications manager for the Bear Farm Conservation. Right off the bat, I just want to say there's no cookie cutter strategy that anyone can apply. What works for us might not work for you guys, but this is kind of what's working for us right now. So let's go ahead and get started here. Like I said, we use a pretty much a centralized approach. Our strategy is our structure is broken up. Me, the digital communications manager, I'm the one that oversees all social networking, the one that makes the final decisions on where we're at, where we're not at. We have a social networking team. They handle the day-to-day operations, and they're the ones kind of in charge of, once we know we're going to be someplace, they're going to be the ones kind of come up with the guidelines, shoot them through me, work with me and stuff, but they handle the day-to-day operations and administration. Then we have hourly labor and interns that handle the majority of our monitoring. They're young. They really know how to use the tools the best, probably. My role in all of this, like I said, I handle all the requests. If it hasn't been vetted, NBC won't do it. And so pretty much all the requests coming to me. If we're open to anybody. Someone can come to me from a region where it's, hey, I really think we need to be on this network. Well, we'll vet it and stuff. We'll look at it, see what's happening, and we'll make a decision on it. But anyone has the ability to put in a request, but not anyone has the ability to just go out and do something on it, to be an official NBC presence. I'm the one that is in charge of the formal actual strategy. We actually do have some things written down on paper that we follow. Main reason for that is it helps us sell new ideas to leadership. If they think, hey, there's actually something on paper that's happening. And then I'm the one that ensures the guidelines are in place and stuff. Before we release anything, we have to have some type of guidelines in place on how we're going to use that presence. And then a lot of times I just try to stay out of the way. Once we know we're doing something, we're going to be there and guidelines are in place, I kind of step aside and let the team just do the business. If there's any issues or something, they'll come to me, or if I have an issue with something, I'll go to them. Anyone in the department have an issue, they come to me, I'll go to the team and we'll discuss. But for the most part, we're pretty lucky. We've been in social media for 5 years now, and we've really had no really emergency issues come up with it. But that's kind of the structure on it. I'm going to let Kevin talk about.
So just going back, if it hasn't been vetted and he's going to do it, Chris handles all that. A lot of times it's really a matter of saying, hey, we should do Pinterest because we have all these images and we think that it'll reach a market we won't get, and it's more level of effort. And so, oh, okay. And so it doesn't have to be really formal. And but you need to look at it, you need to explore it. Social networking team, we've got 4 staff members. We've got mostly news folks, our public information people are running this. I'm involved mostly to kind of set up the accounts and make sure that stuff does get managed. And if there's any issues, if there's PIOs don't want to, or public information folks, they don't want to worry about giving people rights and permissions to do different things. They just want to get the message out. So I'll take care of permissions and stuff like that. They'll get the message out. I'm able to go in as well and contribute and get that worked out. Center of excellence really means just don't suck. Don't do anything that is going to embarrass the department. That's why we have PIOs doing this, because they are the public face of your department. We develop some network-specific guidelines. Hey, here's how Facebook works. Here's how Twitter works. Here's how we're going to use Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest and Flickr and YouTube. We're on SlideShare. We're looking at a couple more, but again, kind of what Jen said, we're at one at a time. We've got to make sure we've got a workflow down. Staff members, we're also the network administrators. We monitor what people are saying on our channels. If one thing will come up against, because we're the government, people don't always like government. You get trolls, you get people that just can't say anything nice. We've got on our Facebook page very clear comment policies. You can say anything you want, but if you have nagging, if you say anything bad about somebody else, if you do a personal attack, comments out there, and we may or may not tell you about it. A lot of times we just if it's a really good comment, or they drop an F-bomb or something, but we don't like your comment, but could you post it without being rude? And they're okay with that. Most of the people post it. Every now and then, someone will post something really great. We take it down and they comment back, why are you taking it down? It's like, they follow those, yes.
Where do you put this guideline?
With Facebook now, what you have to do, you used to be able to have tabs up at the top of your timeline. You get got rid of FDML. I'm trying to think what the app is. There's a couple of apps you can download. You can also write your own Facebook app that'll show up in a tab, and you just put whatever text you need in there. I can find some links and shoot them to you or add them to add some notes on here. Let's see, we make the everyday decisions. What goes on? Hey, this is something cool that just came up. Should we tweet it? Where should we put it? You put it everywhere. You just put it on some channels. You get some things that only go out on Twitter. You get some things that only go out on Facebook. And really, it's a matter of who the market is. Again, we decide when to block users. We've had to block 2 users. One of the things we have in our comment policy, no repetitive posts, and stay on topic. So when we say, hey, it's a great weekend to go hiking, and someone says, I hate your waterfowl draw policies. It's like, yeah, sorry, go on. And they keep doing that. One guy felt sold waiters. And if you go trout fishing, pass the regulation, you don't sold waiters anymore because you can carry some algae that destroyers create. He just bought his family to don't sold waiters. Yes. Everything we posted, whoa, don't sold waiters. It's like, sorry, we got to pay you. So, if we look at that, we look at what programs we support, just where does everything go? Now, we've got some hourly labor, we have an intern. And we have them do a lot of the, matter of fact, our hourly is hired specifically to help our ombudsman handle most of the Facebook stuff. They do network monitoring when we post a news release when they're out on the web. They will post, they may post that, a lot of times our news posts just go ahead and they come up with things like memes to do. It's like, oh, what is it? Here's a little picture, blown up picture of something. Can you identify what it is? And the next day, we'll tell them what it is, or we'll write a caption, maybe caption soon. So they're coming up with stuff like that, and it's kind of keeping it interesting. They monitor all the questions. They answer most of them. It's like, hey, can I fish for bass here? It's like, for small amount of bass. Yes, you can, but only during these seasons. So it's kind of easy to answer as all the regulations. When we get something a little more heavy, or a little more complicated, we'll go to our topic experts or whatever, and get an answer from them before we get back to them. It's going to take a day. A lot of times we post and say, hey, we're still working on trying to find this. Hopefully we'll have something tomorrow. So again, keeping the conversation going. Let's see. When in doubt, when they have something that's just, hey, this looks weird, I don't know what to do about this, they come and get one of the social media team members and say, how should I answer this? What should I do? What you'll find if you get out on Facebook, especially where there's a lot of interaction, people will find wonderful ways to kind of bait you a little bit and tweak you, and you have to sometimes nuance some of your answers, or sometimes you just have to be really blunt. But again, that's something that maybe your public information folks need to take more of a hand in rather than your lines. So how does it work? Well, we find the next big thing. So next week thing was papers. And so we started looking at that. Our mentioned there was a couple of articles in GovTech about how to use it. It's like, oh, okay, so this would be good. We have a whole bunch of images, we have a whole bunch of web pages. Talked to our intern. She's like, oh, I work with interns. It's like, great. Here's what we need to do. And so we set up a real basic account, or a real simple thing, kind of explored some boards and stuff, and started populating these things. To kind of see what it's about. Anyway, that's getting ahead of myself, because that's covering some of the next steps. But yeah, we assess the tool, what's it good for, what's the tool good for. We initiate, we start figuring out how do we meet these. We look at engagement. Who are we trying to reach with this, and how are we trying to reach? And then we review. What kind of success do we have? And this is an ongoing, repeatable process.
Take over to step one here. This is kind of pretty much what we have written down. Like I said, like Kevin said, we don't do formal reports on what the requests and stuff, but we do, whenever anyone has a request for something new in social media or something, these are the things that kind of run through our head, questions we answer, and if we like the answers or if we like the discussion where it's going, then we'll actually do it. But these are the things, and this is on us on assessing things. First off, number one rule for us right now is we avoid brand fragmenting. We don't want to fragment our brand. We don't want to have a bazillion Facebook pages. For a while, this was a hot topic in the department. Every nature center wanted their own Facebook page. Everybody wanted their own thing. And the issue with it is it just gets to a lot of confusion. A lot of people get confused on where do they go to ask this question, where do they go to ask this question, or this person might try to answer it and they really aren't the expert on it. So right now, we have a very centralized approach to this stuff because we have better control of it. We know that every answer that's going out is the right answer. So that's our number one rule right now for one of these things, is when someone comes in with a request, hey, we need a Facebook page. First thing is, well, we already have a Facebook page. Why is this one different? Why would we need this new page? Why can't it be addressed with the page we already have? And so far, we really haven't found an answer, because they're like, one of the big things on the regions, we're like, oh, but we just want to promote Kansas City stuff. But they have to see everything on this. But when we go and talk to our audience, they actually like seeing everything. They like seeing what's going on in St. Louis, just not in the region. And so we can go back and say, sorry, talk to them. The audience just isn't for that. They like having seen everything. So that's one of our big goals right now, or one of our big rules. It's like the golden rule right now for us. The other thing it has to do when one of the requests comes in, it has to be something better for us. It has to market for us better. It has to be better public relations, feedback, crisis management, or data sharing. If it can't do one of those, we're not going to do it. And so once again, Kevin comes to me and says, hey, we want to do pictures. I'm like, all right, what's it going to do for us? And for that, right now, it helps us with marketing, it helps with data sharing, it helps with different options. So it's like, all right, we need to look at this further. Then once again, another question right off the bat on this is, who are we targeting with it? It's our target about an audience there. Right now, if we're looking to hit 35-year-old men, we're probably not going to hit it all the pictures. But you need to know that stuff. You need to know where your target audiences are. How do we do it? We try to do little surveys. We do at least one a year. I did one this past December saying, hey, help us find out, help us forward to where we're going, help us find what we're doing. Yeah.
Just a question, since it's such a fast medium, is one survey a year enough?
Well, no, it's not. Yeah, it's pretty much you should do them as much as you can, but do at least one, because having at least one set of data is better than no data. They going off assumptions, and that's my goal. When I got my job, that's what I told them for the internet, for everything. I don't like to base assumptions. I don't like to base decisions on assumptions. I want to base it on facts and data and stuff. And so at least doing one survey helps, but I would like to do at least quarterly. Like you say, social media is moving so fast. It would be nice to do quarterly. And with SurveyMonkey, it's pretty easy to do. We just don't want to get people bogged down on them. Going, man, they're always asking me to do a survey. They're always asking me to do a survey. But it does help us make our decisions. So that's how we try to find what our target audiences are right now. We know the majority of people right now on Facebook and Twitter. Pinterest is peaking. Google has a little bit, but there's some things we know that they just aren't interested in. One of the big things right now in our department that I've been getting, luckily it's kind of going down now, is QR codes. I don't know how many people know what QR codes, but everybody's, we gotta have QR codes. So in our last survey, we found less than 5% of people said, I would ever use a QR code. And so I go back and I was like, man, we're gonna spend all this money and do all this sign up for QR code. And we have it right here. There's gonna be like 10 people using it. And so I've been able to kind of push it down. But if I don't do surveys and don't do things like that, I can't, I've had to just go, okay, we're gonna do QR codes. Then also, what's your target audience behavior? Are they lurkers? Are they just going to sit there and look at your Facebook page? Are they actually going to comment on it? Once again, that's where surveys come in. They're like, hey, how do you get your information? How do you interact with things? And then finally, what's your goal? You have to have a goal for these things. It's just, your goal can't be, well, we just want to be there. You got to have actually something you want to do with it. Like Facebook, we use that as a place to help with PR, help build our reputation, but also to answer questions for the public. It's a great place to start actual conversations with people and ask questions and answer questions. And it's not one-on-one, it's one-to-many. You know, our ombudsman gets the same question 100 times, but on Facebook, he'll get it once, and 100 people have the answer. And so that's kind of, you have to have some basic goals, and they can be simple goals. They don't have to be extravagant goals, and none of our goals really are that extravagant. It's pretty much helping people. Finally, like I said, me and the team assess the programs or the requests and stuff, and assess progress of the different technologies and where they're going. And then I'll make the final decision on it, on the yay or nay. And then once the final decision is made, that's when Kevin and him step in and start doing the other steps. So I'll let
Okay, so initiating, we kind of talked about this a little bit. We'll set up some guidelines that have to be really, that are really simple for staff to follow. Again, conservation is set up a little bit differently. Our web and social media stuff, all of that, we're not IT. We're all part of outreach and education. And so our whole department's focus is to push information out. And we use technology to do that. We use traditional news outlets. But we're not doing a lot of divisional sort of, we don't have any kind of dynamic there that causes any kind of problem. We're all working on the same thing. I know a lot of folks, it's computers and social media. As a computer, we have to get IT involved. It's like, no, you do this at home. You set up an account. Coming to some understanding on how those get managed is good. Some of you will have a lot of discussions about that. But anyway, we set up guidelines. They have to be simple. So, Twitter, we could have a lot of conversations. We could set up a Twitter conversation like Jen was talking about. You know what? We don't want to do that. The guy that kind of takes the lead on that, he just wants to post stuff. As far as he's concerned, it's how we get news out. We get a few questions that come in, but we don't collect a lot of questions. So we're using it more as a broadcast medium instead of an interactive medium. But the thing is, that's kind of how we're going to use it right now. Yeah, but that's how we're using it right now. Keeping it simple. Okay, so we just started getting. What are we going to do? Hey, we posted about 700 things in a couple of days. We have a lot of pictures and pages. So now we can start pulling some of that off as deer season and waterfowl season and other seasons that we're concerned with come up. We start pushing those up a little bit. We start taking other things off and kind of making it dynamic. We determine how to seed the channel. So, if you're starting with a Twitter feed, if you're starting with Facebook, when we started with Facebook 5 years ago, we had some interns come in and say, oh yeah, we'll set this up. And then we promptly forgot about it for 6 months. And when we found it again, We had 600 people following us, and we weren't doing anything. We didn't have a post, didn't have anything. But they're like, oh, conservation, yay! And went ahead and liked us and were following us. So it's like, oh, we got something here. Started reposting our news posts, the news release that went out. And it didn't take long. We're like, oh, okay, this is no problem. It didn't take long before people started asking us questions. And so we started a two-way conversation there. And for a while, we had a team of 5 people. Everyone monitored it for a day. Took up a lot of time. Now we've got an hourly that kind of monitors it and then goes out. And if she has any questions that she can't handle, she'll contact one of us. And then, so we really only have to, one of our full-time people only has to monitor it, 2 to 3 days a week, 2.5 days a week. So, we figure out, how do you start this? We start everything with a soft launch. We don't do a news release that says, hey, we're on Facebook or Pinterest or whatever. Mostly because when you're starting off, you really don't know the tool that well. Why build up a whole lot of expectations that you may not be ready to fulfill? So, how do you start? Start slow. Start slow and let it grow. We'd like to let it grow a little bit organically. We look at who's going to post content. Hey, great. We trust our intern to find things to be in because she kind of knows what she's interested in and what other folks are interested in and what makes good content. She's a journalism student. She studies this, and it's like, okay, she has a serious knowledge. Looking at how often we post. Jim's talking, 15 times a day on Twitter, and it's like, yeah, you can. It really, it's up to you. If your agency doesn't produce that much new content, maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe once a week is fine. But you do have to feed the beast. You have to keep doing it. So, again, we just started with Pinterest. It's time for mine. It's like, okay, we want to target some things in those should rise to the top and get in, and how often do we want to do that? We don't have to do a dozen things a day. We can do, maybe 3 days a week. We're going to post something or post a couple of things every day. And we will find out as we talk to people and interact with them what feels right. Last thing, you do one-way or two-way communication. Twitter, we're doing one way. We really don't interact. Facebook, definitely two-way. Flickr is kind of one way. We post some images. We have several groups where we invite people to share their photos, but we don't interact with them a whole lot. YouTube is almost entirely one way. We put videos out there. We do look at the comments, but we rarely contribute to the YouTube comment feed. Creating a brand, the account, okay, whatever we do, we're going to put the logo on it. Our triangle, that's our logo. A username, we try to always use NBC Online. Sometimes that's been taken, we'll have to use NBC_line. And so far we've been able to use that for everything. And that's been, so there's at least some consistency. We could find a guy in Brazil that has NBC Online for a couple of our things. He's registered those. We can take it from him. But we can't yet. Connect social media is connect different types where it makes sense. Can we tie Pinterest to Facebook? Yeah, that's a great way to get more people involved in it, and it's a great way to repost things. However, all of these are different. They have different audiences and different needs. So we don't generally automatically post something to Twitter and post it to Facebook with the same text. We actually want to tailor the message a little bit for each one. You can have a much longer comment. If you post something on Facebook, you got 140 characters under whatever it is on Twitter. So you're going to have to compress and realign stuff. So engage. Okay, we've seeded the site, we've got the account, we're ready to go, and we're going to start telling people about it. Guidelines and assessment determine the level of engagement, so we've already discussed, one way, two way, how we will do that. That also determines the level of effort that your agency is willing to put into it. If it's one way, it's really easy. All you got to do is send stuff out and never have to pay attention to it. But if it's two-way, and really you can't do Facebook without really doing it two-way. You can, but then nobody comes to visit. You're going to have to develop or devote some staff resources to it. And it can take a lot more time than you think. Just look how much time you or your spouse or your kids spend on various social media at home. Get off it. It's a big deal. People are on it all the time. We posted something that had a news release yesterday, and it's like, we know that it's a hot button for a whole lot of people. Posted it on Facebook, and it's like, okay, let's see how long before we get the first comments. It's like 30 seconds. And we knew exactly who it was coming from. But being prepared to take some quick action, especially if the conversation starts getting out of control. Any channels that we do have to produce high quality content. Nice thing is creating content, most people just link to pages that you already have, or news releases, or affiliated organizations. But it's got to be high quality. You really don't want a page to last updated in 1998. It's got a bunch of bad line art, things like that. Fortunately, not our pages look like that anymore, but some of the content problems does. So you got to make sure that you're doing the good stuff. So Facebook, you got to respond with questions and give feedback. Facebook and Twitter. Jim was saying, follow people, like people, and for news and academia, that's pretty easy. For us, we really try hard to make sure it doesn't look like we're endorsing anybody, that we're not favoring anyone. We had a long-standing terms of use policy on our website that says anybody can link to us. Hey, and we don't care where you link, that's fine. But we're only going to link to government agencies, nonprofits, and partners in the program. So, hey, you know what? We partner with Bass Pro and Cabela's and places like that. We're not linking to their catalog. We're not linking to their page. We will link to, if they have a page that describes the program they're working on, we'll be happy to look at that. We did a Falcon camp over the winter in a partnership with Cameron and Wild Bird Sanctuary. And we don't link to but we link to their page talking about the Falcon. So having a policy and then sticking to it, will this policy change? It may. But for right now, we're just uptight enough to not want to appear to be in anybody's pocket or appear to endorse anyone. We're just not going to do that. So we coordinate with offline communications. Basically, we have media staff throughout the state. They are fairly independent. We ask them when they do a news release, they send it out to their channels. We ask them to send it to us, and we'll post it on Facebook, Twitter, or anywhere else. But they have blogs. They have other channels that they use. Again, we try to control a simple message, but kind of knowing where they can use some of their own channels. Here's something. We did a zombie page last year, and it was a lot of fun. And one of the things that got us or like a pitch or something like that is a couple of us just went to our Stumble Upon site and liked it on our Stumble Upon site. And And that was enough, just 2 or 3 people feeding that to push that way up in a lot of people's stumble upon feeds. And we got 100,000. That's something ridiculous. But that wasn't an official NBC channel. That was just something that we as employees decided we would push. You don't have to use a formal channel like this always to push your information out. You can kind of get it into some other venues.
The one thing we will say, like on Facebook, when we're engaging, anyone that's officially engaging for the department, they have to have their name at NBC at the end of their comment. You don't see that at the end, it's not an official NBC, even if they work for the department. That's how we separate it out. Usually, when they're officially commenting for two, it'll have the logo as their image, as the user image. So that's one way how we separate it out: official responses, and then just any staff member responding. The guideline is you have to have at NBC at the end of it, stuff, your name at NBC. If you don't have that, and pretty much our audience knows if they don't see that that's just somebody else. That's just not NBC's.
We have a lot of employees that contribute on our Facebook page, but they don't want to be an official part of it. But they know stuff. Why not answer?
So this is how we coordinate a lot of our efforts. And like I said, it's very centralized once again. Our news coordinator handles probably 90% of the content coordination of the different things, like what's being posted on Facebook, what's being posted on Twitter. Like I said, I'm more on the tech side of things. That's where I came from, and so I like that a lot more than the actual content myself. And so I'm happy to have him do that. We'll discuss things and stuff, but I'm more willing to let him take over that part of it. The other 10% of coordination and stuff falls to the social team. Like I said, I try to stay out a lot of times. And then regional staff sends items into trouble. Anyone in the department can send a request and say, hey, I'd really like to get this on our Facebook page. If it comes to me or Kevin or anybody that's not the news coordinator, we'll funnel it to him and stuff. And we'll have a discussion on it. He's not the one that actually decides, yeah, your name. We'll actually have a group discussion on, you know what, that is something cool to promote, so we're going to promote it on it. So that's kind of how we coordinate communications coming from outside the core team or outside of standard news or people that actually generate content. We also coordinate between weekly news meetings. We have a weekly news meeting. And this is when all news, publications, magazine, art, video, web are present at this meeting. We discuss topics. Hey, what are some hot topics that are going to be released on each one's medium? Hey, this magazine article's coming out. Hey, this news post is coming out. Hey, this video's coming out. And we sit there and discuss, hey, is this going to be promoted on any of our channels and stuff? And a lot of the times they are. Maybe not everything, but we know a lot of us have been in the department for a long time, so we know hot ticket items. We know, hey, there's a new regulation change going to come out, and it's going to be a hot ticket item. It's probably going to be promoted on a lot of channels. So that's how, like I said, we discuss it, and we determine, hey, where do we need to be? And then finally, this happens a lot, it's just informal meetings and discussions. Right now, we're lucky enough, the majority of us are in the same floor. So if someone has an idea, they'll just go and vet it off somebody else. They'll go bounce the idea off somebody else. We don't have any rote content. Like I said, even if you have the idea, just don't go and do it. Bounce it off somebody first before you just go out and post it. It's kind of our general rule. We don't want to be surprised. At least 2 people should know about it. If only one person knows about it, we have an issue. So that's kind of how we do it. But we do a lot of informal discussions and stuff. And a lot of our stuff is informal, even though we have formal processes and stuff. A lot of the times, while we're going through the formal process, it's really informal because it is just a group of us standing around the water cooler discussing ideas and stuff. And we don't put anything on paper. It's just like, you know what, we discussed it, we all liked it, let's go for it. Finally is reviewing. We do review all our network presences and determine if they're running. So far, luckily, we haven't had any of these our failures. But what do we look at when we're reviewing our goals met? Like I said, before we even start something, we have a goal for that piece. And so we try to determine if those goals are being met. We look at quarterly numbers, how many people are viewing things. We used to have, when we were first starting out, we had monthly social media meetings. Now we kind of do those as needed. We don't do them as much. Like I said, when somebody in the group feels like we need to have a meeting, we'll call a meeting. But for the most part, we kind of let it all go through the informal processes. And like I said, during that, we tweaked our guidelines and our strategy. It has to be flexible. You can't, what we did in 2007 doesn't work today and stuff. So you have to always be tweaking it. It's like a website, it's never finished. You're always going to be tweaking it and stuff. So that's what we figured. What makes it a successful strategy? We got to be flexible. You have to be flexible. You have to be willing to address and change engagement levels. If people, no matter what, are forcing your hand and want to talk to you on Twitter, we will talk to them on Twitter eventually. But right now, no one's really begging for us to talk to them on Twitter. They want Facebook. That's where everyone's at. Or that's where our audience is asking for engagement. And then we experiment and fail. If we fail, we fail. But hey, we at least gave it a shot. Is our thing. You can't be afraid of it. Sometimes that's a little. When you get higher up in the leadership, they aren't as keen on that. And so far, our records proven they give us that ability right now. We haven't done anything so bad that they're like, no, you guys are cut off on it. And that's why we're able to do the zombie post, because we've had a proven track record. We did the zombie post. They were really hesitant. It was well received, and now we're actually been nominated for a national PR award and stuff, and we're a finalist. So we'll find out in September if we won. But that's one of the things. You got to experiment. You got to have fun. And then, like I said, very final thing to be successful is you got to take into account your resource capacity. How much time you guys have to put into this, because they're like newborns. They're going to take a lot of time and effort. Maybe once you get out there and you guard the presence, it'll grow and kind of feed itself. But for the most part, you're going to have a lot of time and effort in all these things. So that's kind of it for us and how we operate as a department. Like I said, what works for us might not work for you guys, but maybe it gives you some ideas on how you guys can coordinate some things.
So yeah, I know MoDOT is really decentralized, and it makes sense to them because people care about roads where they are. But for a lot of the other agencies that don't have strong regional presence, yeah, bringing him in centrally and controlling it for a while, maybe branching out later, great idea. Question?
Yeah. Coming back to you guys in terms of assessing strategy and assigning goals before getting into a project, can you give an example of a goal that you guys have, what a goal might look like? Is it in terms of engagement numbers? Is it traffic to the website? How do you measure that?
A lot of it, we have really modest goals, like will people respond to this and will it grow? So, Pinterest, for instance, now we launched this basically yesterday. We did a really soft launch. We set up an account last week, had a couple of people in the department start following it, and all of a sudden, before we know it, we have like 10, 15 followers. It's like, okay, people are kind of into this. So yesterday we put it on the footer of all of our web pages, put a link there. We started to do we did a Facebook post on it. Bam, okay, we've got 40 people following us this morning. Kind of cool. Modest goals. We're not looking to increase attendance at Powder Valley Nature Center by 2% in fiscal year 2013 because we can't. What you're trying to do, though, is make sure that you are engaging people, that your numbers, your followers are going up or stable. Because if they're leaving, then why are they leaving? Are they going to another medium, or are they just not interested? So, modest goals. You've already got, everybody has policies in place to get messages out. You've got public information officers, and you've got people in the field talking to folks. This is something that adds on to that. It's a layer on top that reaches people that you might not reach otherwise. So, modest goals are what we're looking at.
Yeah, and then you can always grow your goals. Because like right now, Facebook is our biggest thing that we've grown. Our goals starting off very small, like I said, very, very modest. But now we have goals like we're going to provide great customer relationship there. That's the number one goal of Facebook is customer relationships. And so one of our guidelines is you will respond to any question within an hour. And stuff. And that's something you can measure, something you can make sure you actually do. Even if you don't know the answer to that, you're at least responding and say, hey, we got your question. I don't know what the answer is yet. We're going to find out and we'll get back to you. And we make sure we get back to them. And so that was our goal. Great customer relationship. How do we measure it? Has anybody asked a question and we never got back to them? Because then we failed on that goal. And so far we haven't. We've always been able to. And I know we have other state agencies, other conservation agencies have tested us before on that, where their director's gone on and asked a question, hey, I want to be in Missouri. Where can I fish? You know, and we'll respond to them, and they always thought that was really cool. And so that was our goal, was great customer relationships on it. But it grew. That wasn't our initial thing. It's, hey, we're going to be there. We're going to comment within an hour. That wasn't our initial thing when we started Facebook. It's just we grew into that.
So do you monitor it 24/7?
No, and that's the other thing. We set the guidelines on it. We're strictly Monday. Luckily, it's like anything. Our audience on the weekends is outside. Thank God. So they aren't asking a lot of questions on a computer during the week. But they know Monday through Friday business hours is when we'll be there. They can go ahead and ask a question at 10 p.m. First thing in the morning, we'll answer that question. But they know there's a set guideline where we're at. And that's just been our practice. And so, and that's what I tell people. If you answer it at 10 p.m. when it comes in, we're going to start making. So make sure you don't answer until 8 to 5 between that guy. Because if you go any other time. If you start answering during the weekend, they're going to expect it from then on. And so 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
You said you just launched Pinterest yesterday.
Yep.
How many followers do you guys have now, and what do you think that will add to your organization?
When I checked this morning, we had about 40 followers. We had a couple, I think a couple hundred pins or something like that. One of the, since Pinterest in this country anyway tends to skew female, to a female audience, this is a way to reach. Conservation is always, hunting and fishing, guys with beards eating meat and stuff. But we have nature centers, we have trails, we have flow trips, we have activities just for families, just for kids, just for women, and so we've got recipes, we've got just all sorts of things, places to go, things to do, and we've got pictures for them. So trying to hit that audience a little bit more. Our Facebook page is, 46% women, something like that. So we're reaching them, we're interacting, but this is just another way to do that. What we're also finding out is we're getting a lot of guys hitting us on Pinterest too. And so, again, already we're readjusting our